Welcome back to Hawkins, Indiana, the little town where nothing out of the ordinary ever happens. Huh, yeah, right. It's time for Stranger Things Season 2. Now, it would be an understatement to say that I've been looking forward to this since the second I finished Season 1. So I was pretty excited to take the afternoon off and binge the whole thing. And before I get into the main review, I will say now that this will be a spoiler-free review as much as possible. So let's get into it. If you're not sure of the premise, we're back with the guys in Hawkins, a year after the events of Season 1. Will is going through trauma following his abduction to the Upside Down. Joyce is now dating one of the new characters, Bob, played by Sean Astin. Mike is still in mourning following the apparent death of Eleven. Hopper is trying to keep his town as normal as possible. Lucas and Dustin have both become equally into the cool new arcade in town. And also a new redheaded girl, Max, who's turned up at their school. And the Steve, Nancy, Jonathan love triangle is most definitely a thing. As you'll know if you've watched any of the trailers, she's out of the Upside Down and sporting a new look. Now the vibe of the show is true to form, with more 80s nostalgia than you can shake an Atari 800 do. Some of the plot points do take inspiration from great 80s horror movies. Dustin's arc especially feels a little bit like Gremlins in parts, but once again, none of them seem to overdo it. From the moment the season gets started, you instantly get the vibe that this isn't going to be the same sort of story as the first season, and that is an understatement at best. Last time we had one main mystery that carried us through each of the characters' interactions, with all of them coming together at the end. This time the mechanic is, you could say, reversed. We have a bunch of characters who all have their own mini stories that don't really overlap until the final couple of episodes. Following the phenomenon that was Season 1, the Duffer Brothers really had their work cut out for them in following that up. Did they do a good job? Yes. Does it surpass the first season? Absolutely not. In fleshing out each of the characters with their own stories, you kind of lose some of the things that made Season 1 great. No longer are the guys sat playing D&D anymore. Heck, for most of the series, you don't get all four in the same place. Eleven's arc feels incredibly disconnected from everyone else's, and don't even get me started on the Justice for Barb movement, which pretty much forms part of Nancy, Steve and Jonathan's story arc. Probably one of the best story arcs comes from that of Joyce and Bob, but I think this is mainly down to how likeable Sean Astin's character really is. There is a couple of new cast members, as I mentioned, being Max, her dick of an older brother Billy, Bob, plus the new head of Hawkins Lab, Dr. Owens, who's played by Paul Reiser. Now some of these new characters bring more weight than others. As I mentioned, Billy is just generally a tool bag for the whole series, and seems to only really exist to add more depth to Max's character. Max, on the other hand, tries to fit in with the group, but never quite achieves what was found in Season 1. And then Dr. Owens, so he's the new head of Hawkins Lab, and genuinely is one of my favourite new characters. You kind of don't trust him to begin with, quite similar to his role in Aliens, but you do come to really like him by the end of the series, and that's all I'll say on that, because I want to keep this as spoiler-free as possible. On a whole, you really get the feeling the Duffer Brothers wanted to do something a little bit different, but still stay true to the world they created. Personally, I do think this hinders Season 2, but that's not to say it's bad at all, because it's really not. There isn't as much mystery, and the end of episode cliffhangers don't quite make you want to watch the next one as much as you should, but you do know that this is all building towards something epic, and from pretty much episode 7 onwards, it kicked into high gear. So let's look at the scores. IMDb don't score it each season, but Stranger Things following Season 2 still has an 8.9 rating, and Rotten Tomatoes Season 2 currently has a 94% fresh rating, which compared to Season 1, having a 96, it's not quite as good, but still pretty awesome. What I'd say is that if you enjoyed the first season, you're going to enjoy the second season. And if you've never seen any of them, there has never been a better reason to lock yourself away for a weekend and just cram through this series. If you've already seen the second season of Stranger Things, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to get all your reviews in a flash.